Serbia se calificuje a Rusiu. At least that is what I heard from the announcer in the stadium on the day that Serbia clinched a spot in Russia 2018 with a 1-0 victory at home over Georgia. A way to be sent off with fireworks going on in the stadiums. Saw highlights of it on FS1, the closing minutes of the match, the post-match celebration. One of the best post-match celebrations of any of the 32 teams who qualified to send your team off to a World Cup when the mission for qualification is done with a blazing roar of fireworks in the sky. Serbia will be at the World Cup for the 12th time in their history, yet only the second time as an independent nation. They participated way back when, all the way up until the 1998 World Cup, as the Republic of Yugoslavia. And in 2006, they played under the name of Serbia and Montenegro, only for the country to be dissolved into two separate states just a couple of months after that tournament. And Serbia, under the name Yugoslavia, have quite a bit of history in the World Cup. Fourth place finish in 1930, another fourth place finish in 1962 in Chile, quarterfinal appearances in 54 and 58, quarterfinal appearance again in 1990, and a 1998 round of 16 appearance, the last time they appeared under Yugoslavia. Since then, Serbia has qualified for every other World Cup. 2010, missed out on 2014, but they're back at Russia 2018, and this time, just like the others, they enter as a potential dark horse. Sounds familiar, right? Mentioned Denmark as a potential dark horse in my previous video. The odd case with Serbia is they enter a major tournament with a lot of potential, yet they never break through. A little bit of a pattern with Balkan nations in World Cups, at least in recent history, entering major tournaments with high hopes, but to crash out at the group stage. And in 2006, Serbia and Montenegro topped a qualifying group containing Spain. They finished with 0 points in the World Cup, including a come-from-behind loss to the Ivory Coast, late on 2-3. In 2010, they topped a qualifying group containing France, finished bottom of their group in the subsequent World Cup with 3 points, though they did register a memorable upset victory over the Germans in the group, which saw them end on 3 points. And for Russia 2018, they yet again topped their qualifying group, this time containing the Republic of Ireland, Wales, Austria, Georgia, and Moldova. Serbia finished in first with 6 wins, 3 draws, and just 1 loss. Goal difference of +10 with 20 scored and 10 conceded, and overall 21 points. Now, of all the 9 group winners in UEFA, Serbia actually did finish with the least amount of points of all teams who qualified directly, but in their defense, their group was relatively tight, with the top 4 teams only being separated by each other by 2 points each. Republic of Ireland with 19, Wales with 17, and Austria with 15. Just to give you a little bit of insight of how wide open that group was. It was one of the most wide open of the entirety of European qualification, to be honest. And for Group E of the 2018 World Cup, they are paired with Brazil, Switzerland, and Costa Rica. Some are picking this as the sleeper group to potentially fulfill the role of a group of death. That remains to be seen, but we should remain skeptical. But there is going to be certainly a tight battle for second place, you would think on paper, between the Swiss, the Costa Ricans, and Serbia. And it'll all be about who can obtain points off each other and perhaps initiate a little bit of damage control against the Brazilians in each of their games as well. The battle for second is one in which many people will predict either one of the 3 teams coming through, and I myself on this channel have fluctuated back and forth between Serbia, Costa Rica, and Switzerland. Now, oddly yet coolly coincidentally enough, a couple of players on the Serbia under-20 team back in 2015 who won the Under-20 World Cup very much unexpectedly against Brazil in the final, are in this current Serbian national senior squad, including, yes, Valencia player Nemanja Maximovic, who was part of that Under-20 team and scored the winning goal in the Under-20 World Cup final against Brazil. So now at the senior level, he may come up against Brazil yet again. However, another goal-scoring threat for Serbia up front is Aleksandar Mitrovic, who was the leading goal scorer in Group D of UEFA qualifying. He scored a total of 6. Right behind him, well, way behind him actually, with only 2 goals scored, Filip Kostic and Alexander Kolarov got on the score sheet for Serbia, respectively. Let's go through the squad that was named a few days ago, and I apologize ahead of time if I'm mispronouncing any of these names. Goalkeepers Vladimir Stojkovic, Marko Dimirovic, Predrag Rajkovic, Defenders Antonio Rukavina, Alexander Kolarov, I know him, plays for Roma, Milan Radzic, Branislav Ivanovic, Uros Spajic, Dusko Tosic, Milos Vekovic, Nikola Milenkovic. Midfielders Luka Miljovic, Nemanja Macic, who I mentioned, the Manchester United man, Marko Grucic, Adam Ljajic, Sergej Milinkovic, Filip Kostic, Dusan Tadic, Andreja Zikovic, and Nemanja Radonjic. And forwards Aleksandar Mitrovic, Alexander Prijovic, and Luka Jovic. Having named more or less the entire squad, Serbia will be managed this summer by Mladen Kristajic, who is actually a key player at the 2006 World Cup back when they played under the name Serbia and Montenegro. I remember having to deal with him a few times when playing the FIFA World Cup 2006 video game every now and then. He's a really young guy. I believe he's only 43 or 44 years old, and gets a lot of criticism as being perhaps not the most competent of managers. But Serbia did bring him in after the firing of their manager who did qualify them for the World Cup, Slavoj Muslin, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, because the Serbian FA had felt that their performance in qualification had really dwindled toward the end, and they had only crossed the finish line because they had started off so well. And there was not a lot of faith put into Muslin to ride this team to the World Cup, so they brought in a younger former player in Mladen Kristajic to guide this team to Russia 2018. Now, I'm not familiar with Mladen Kristajic and his managerial credentials, but the Serbian FA felt him a more appropriate fitting proposition for the job than his predecessor Muslin was. And having done a little bit of research on this, I wanted to reach out to some Serbian fans, found some on Reddit. Expectations are quite low heading into this tournament for the first time in a while for many Serbian fans, and this could actually play to Serbia's advantage so that they don't set themselves up for further disappointment, because this time around, the goal for Serbia in this World Cup will be to advance past the group stage for the first time in 20 years back when they were under the name Yugoslavia. And if they do so, with one of the World Cup favorites, Brazil, in their group, it will be job well done. And when you look at the history of Balkan nations, they produce some staggering footballing talent. And Serbia is among the cream, along with Croatia at least, is among the cream of the crop in this regard. For Serbia, I get the feeling that all the pieces are there. They just need to come together and get it right. Because on paper, I think they're better than Costa Rica. They just about match with Switzerland, maybe slightly not as great as individually. But I think Serbia's going to do well this summer. And even though they've had a sort of tenuous preparation process, I won't elaborate on it very much here, but I think Serbia is going to play the role of a potential upset somewhere along the line in this tournament. Good luck to Serbia.